Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to bring in our friends over on Instagram so they can be a part of our conversation. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon Live. Excited about our next guest. She's back with us with a brand new book that's already an Amazon bestseller. I'm going to talk to her about her newest book in the At Last series and also let you guys know how to stay connected with her. And we're now live on the Amazon Live platform with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. I'm going to type you guys a quick welcome message over there. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the newest book by our next guest. We're excited to welcome back Natasha Frazier to our broadcast today. She's celebrating the release of her Amazon bestseller, Love Between the Pages. We're going to talk to her about the new book, what's been laid for her, to let people get to know the main characters, Lisa and Jaden, but also I think some great conversation pieces for men and women when it comes to love and relationships as well. If you guys are not staying connected with Natasha, we'll let you guys know how to do that. But Natasha, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, look, the pleasure is definitely all mine. So, Natasha, we're going to get into the new book here in a minute. But as I mentioned already at the time we're having this conversation, the new book is already an Amazon bestseller. The reviews are coming in because now with me working with Amazon, I can't write reviews on Amazon, but I can on Goodreads. But even there, I'm noticing people are already sharing their thoughts. What has it been like for you to be able to see the way that people are responding to the new book?
It's always a pleasure for me to connect with readers and seeing that they connect with the characters and the stories I write. So seeing that people are enjoying it, that just warms my heart all the way to the fullest every single time. So, of course, with this being my latest book, it's my new favorite story. And so I'm glad to see that, readers are enjoying it as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about that because I've read some of your other work before, Natasha. Hello to you, Robin, over on the Amazon side. Thank you so much for the follow over there. I've read some of your other work before Love Between the Pages, and you were known for one, letting us into the characters, kind of getting to know them, but also I think discussing topics that are not always easy, maybe in the quote unquote real world to talk about. You do it again in Love Between the Pages. Do you think that is part of the ingredients of a Natasha D. Frazier book, Natasha, that you are able to give us a love story, but also show the human side of the characters as well?
Absolutely. And so one of the things I always want to show is that, as Christians, because a lot of my romances are Christian fiction romances,
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of times we like to leave God out of the equation, but God is love. He's a big part
Yeah.
of the equation when it comes to relationships. And so that's one of the things that I always like to show is that we can include God in every part of our life, including the romantic aspect. And so,
Yeah.
with every story, we like to touch on the faith and how that is woven into the characters in their lives and what it is that they're going through, their journey throughout the story.
You just brought up a really interesting point, Natasha. I wasn't even planning on bringing this up, but because you did, I think I can do this and talk around it with the new book, Love Between the Pages. Because, I as a reader, especially as a male reader, I think, I'm some things go over my head in that I don't always like if someone were to ask me about this book, yes, love is in the title. Yes, there is a romance book, but there are so many different things. I wouldn't normally categorize it as a romance, but I understand people doing that.
Mhm.
This book is unique in that, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That it is it's a clean story, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. But in that it is to me it's a story. Yes, there is love in it. There's a couple in it. There's a wedding.
Mhm.
There's all of those things. But this is not something that I think most people would consider, maybe outside of people of faith, consider a romance. Have you been hearing that a lot?
I have not. That's actually the first time I've heard it.
Hmm.
But in this story, I think because the main characters they already knew each other,
Hmm.
they are working off of their friendship. And so while that is a thread in the story, they also have these other things going on with their careers, right? And so they're helping each other navigate those paths. So we have a lot of different things happening to where the romance is there, but it's not necessarily the forefront of what
Yeah.
is happening as what we've probably seen in some of my other titles. But it's
Yeah.
there, it's cute, it's funny. We
Yeah.
brought in Aunt Wanda for the humor. So I really love this story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it pretty cool. And that's why I said in my introduction, Natasha, I think men and women will read this story because I think, it also brings up a question that you know, I don't have a lot of, give my opinion a lot in conversations, but for people who think, guys and girls can't be friends, I think it's kind of weird. But this book kind of shows that you can. No, sometimes it does lead to other things, right? It does lead
Sure.
to a broader relationship, but you can have friends. So talk to us about
Mhm.
how this book was inspired. I mean, as I mentioned, this is the new book in the At Last series. But how did you come up with this particular storyline for Lisa and Jaden?
Oh, it's interesting because this is actually the second version of their story. We started it off a different way many years ago, put the book aside, picked it back up. But her story was inspired by her character in Batch of Love. And so if you
Mm,
read Batch of Love, within that story, she is rooting for Ginger and Brock, but there's this point in the story where Ginger tells her, like, hey, how can you push me toward romance when you have this romance in your life that you're not doing anything with? And
mm,
so her story comes out of those lines that Ginger speaks to her. So as I was doing the rewrites for that story, I'm like, yes, that is what I will do with Lisa. This is actually my first friends to something more romance. So I had a
mm.
lot of fun writing it and playing with the characters and the fact that they already knew each other. It's not like they had any bad blood. It's not second chance for them, which is what I normally write. This
Yeah.
is them coming to the realization that what they've been looking for in other people, they've already had in each other the entire time.
I love that. And while you were talking there, Natasha, on the Amazon sites, if you guys are watching us on Amazon, you'll notice I just added some of the other books by Natasha. I didn't want to do that before the segment began, but I wanted to share some of the ones that I've had a chance to read. And Natasha and I've talked about The Wrong Seat. I added it there to the carousel so you can make sure that you're able to take a look at it. Another great one is The Missing Link. I just added it to the carousel for you guys on the Amazon side with every moment we've had there. Love, Lies, and Consequences. I think that's one of the first books I interviewed you with, Natasha, was
Yeah.
that one. So I added it too. But the reason why I'm bringing that up, Natasha, and I'm adding it for our Amazon audience is because you are one of those authors, and there are a few authors that I think about this way, that, you give us suspense, you give us so much. Is that part of the fun for you as a storyteller, that you don't have to tell the same story in every book? You can have fun. You can do the mystery suspense. You can do the love stories. Is that part of the fun for you as a writer?
Absolutely. I am actually looking forward to bringing another romantic suspense series, The Four Kings. I've talked about it some time ago. I think when we were talking about The Missing Link and
Mhm.
The Wrong Seed, I kind of hinted at it. So we're coming back to that. So I really enjoy being able to just write whatever I want to write, whatever feels good, whatever message comes to me, I want to write that.
Love that. Hello to you, Felicia, joining us over there on Facebook. Felicia says, hello, Natasha. I love your wall
Yay.
color. Glad to be able
Thank
to see you,
you.
Felicia. Glad you could be with us. Robin says on Amazon, yes, her readers insisted that she follow up Batch of Love with this story.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because we have a reader over there on the Amazon side. So talk to us about that for yourself. For those who don't know, talk to us about the first book in the At Last series, Natasha.
Okay, so Batch of Love, I describe it as Who's Got Mail meets Nailed It. And so
Mm,
with Batch of Love, you have this local baker who has her heart set on buying her own brick and mortar store. Right now, she operates in a food court, but the only thing she wants is to have her own store, which is one of the promises she made to her mom before she passed away. And so
mm,
with not having that within a certain time frame, she feels like she's failed. And when this big box retailer comes up with this competition, she believes like this is her ticket. She's going to go in, win this competition, get the money so that she can have a down payment for this store. Well, her high school ex works for this big box retailer. And at some point in the story, she believes that he's conspiring against her to steal her business. So yeah, fun story. Fun story. My second favorite after this.
Okay, so that's your second, man. Okay.
Always gotta
So
have a new favorite.
right, right. So I want to let our audience into a conversation you and I were having, Natasha, before we went live, and I was saying I have not read Batch of Love yet, but I was saying to Natasha, I felt like with this book, even though it is the second in the series, so to speak, that it was a full story. But talk to our audience about what you said to me, Natasha, about how you really do give complete stories in each book.
Yes. So when I write in series, my characters are connected in some kind of way. However, even if you don't necessarily read them in order, you can still read them. So if you haven't read Batch of Love and you've already read Love in between the pages, you can go back and read Batch of Love for sure. So they are standalone books, their own story within themselves, but there may be mention of things that happened in the previous story.
Let's talk about how much of Natasha is in a Love Between the Pages. And what I mean by that is in Lisa, because we know very from the very beginning, and I was saying to you before we went live here, Natasha, that the bookstore is its own character in this story. Um, Natasha's, that was a love of hers. I mean, Lisa, that was a love of hers. How much of yourself kind of creeped into the story when it came to Lisa not only desiring to have something of her own, but to be able to make this dream come true with the bookstore?
So with Lisa, one of the threads that we touch on in the book is she's independent.
Hmm.
And so she could have easily rectified her problem by allowing Jaden to come in and basically save her. He offered to several times. But for
Hmm.
her, she needed to be able to do that for herself. And I think along those lines, I'm the same way when it comes to needing to figure things out for myself because I believe that, once you can get through one obstacle, when the next one comes, you can look back and say, hey, I did that, so I can overcome this. And so when it comes to Lisa's character, I believe that, she and I are the same in that. But with Jaden, he and I are kind of similar in a sense too, because Jaden is a CPA. I'm a CPA.
Hmm.
He is a writer. I'm a writer, but that's kind of where the line ends. I did work in public accounting. So
Yeah.
that part of the story, all of what he's going through in public accounting, like I dealt with some of that, but that's where our thread ends.
Love that. Love that. Hello to you, Jacqueline Cox. Good to be able to see you over there on Instagram. She says hello to you as well. Hello to you, Ellen Sutter, over on Facebook. She says hello to you as well. I want to reset real quick and say for those of you who are just tuning in, see you guys over there on YouTube as well. Welcome. You're watching Cyrus Web Presents. We're on Amazon Live, but we are simulcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. We're excited to welcome back Amazon best-selling author Natasha D. Frazier to our broadcast. We're talking with her not only about her writing journey, but also about her newest bestseller, Love Between the Pages. At the time that we're having this conversation, it's already an Amazon bestseller. It hasn't even been out a full month yet. I want to talk about the dream for a moment, Natasha. When did you realize, for those who may have missed some of our previous conversations, hey, Angela Anderson, good to be to see you over there on Facebook as well. When did you know that storytelling was that thing for you that you really enjoyed?
Ooh, probably around the age of 15, 16, teenager when I was in about 10th, 11th grade. I would
Oh,
read
wow.
the Arabesque romance novels. Shouldn't have
Yeah,
been
yeah.
reading those at that age. But, that's the point when I kind of fell in love with reading and love stories. But it wasn't until much later. Oh my gosh. So probably about 10, 11 years later. Yeah, when I
Hmm.
published my first book, which was a devotional. But once I started reading that, there were Christian romances out there,
Hmm.
that's when I decided to write my first Christian romance.
Love that. Angela was mirroring what you mentioned earlier, Natasha. She says this is a good book, and we all need an Aunt Wanda in our life. She says, and I think it goes to everyone kind of has those characters they kind of stick with. I enjoyed Love Between the Pages mainly because I like the idea of, for one, someone fighting for something. I felt like that was a connection I made with Lisa, fighting for something that she wanted. but also
Mhm.
fighting against something too, I guess, in many ways when it comes to the relationship aspect as well. Because, I think we all kind of have that whole mentality sometimes, Natasha, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
Yeah,
and
for
the
sure.
idea
For
of,
sure.
the idea of, okay, well, things are good like this, we don't want to mess this thing up.
Mhm.
And that can go for so many different things. Of course, for
Yeah.
Lisa and Jaden, that is one of those things I think they kind of have to grapple with when it comes to where they are. For yourself, I mean, I know, again, even here on Amazon, you're categorized a certain way. Are you noticing that certain books seem to have more male readers for you, Natasha?
Repeat that. You said male
Yeah,
readers?
yeah, male readers, right? Yeah, are you
You
finding
know,
that
I
certain
have
books are
not.
getting? Yeah,
I have not.
okay.
That would be interesting to reach the male audience. I don't
Hmm.
really know too many who like to read romance. I haven't found them yet. Or maybe they
Well, you're
haven't
talking
found
to
me.
one right now, Natasha.
Yeah. So you need to tell your people. You got to tell your people.
Hey, that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to tell. No, I'm just messing with you. But
Thank you.
but no, I think that is. Hey, Eddie, good to see you. Eddie says good job on all of your work. Appreciate that, Eddie. Glad you could join us over there on YouTube as well. But no, I think that's why I think for myself when I'm reading Natasha, I always try to think about, which is again like I mentioned when I mentioned in the introduction. I think this is a book that guys could read. That is not. I think it kind of breaks the mold of what people look at as romance. Does that make sense?
Okay.
In the way that it's written, in that it is, a guy won't feel like, he's reading some walk around reading some book. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, what are you reading? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those, because there's a real story that's there outside of the
Okay.
whole romance aspect, and I think that's one of the cool
For sure.
things about it, which is why I commend you so much on the character development, because I think the characters are more than just I want to be in love. I can't
Sure.
breathe. The thing you're used to hearing about. You know what I'm saying? When you think about these books, the ones that have me rolling my eyes, like, oh my goodness, really? You go fast because this
That is
person won't tell
funny.
you they love you. you know, uh, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, it's a
For
different
sure. For sure.
yeah, it's a different type. And Eddie, thank you, Eddie. Eddie says, as a man, I prefer to read too. There you go, Eddie. There you go. So Eddie, we're going to help to be able to tell others about this too. Angela said, I love that it is a bookish book as well. Bonus for the bookstore back. Angela, we were talking about that. That's what I
Yeah.
was telling her. I felt like the bookstore was a character in here as well. What was one of the surprises for you, Natasha? Are you one of those writers that kind of outlines a book and you know exactly where it's going to go, or did you have surprises yourself as to the direction the characters went into?
Mm. So I do not plot.
Okay.
I feel like that's double work, but I said I'm going to try it at some point, but right now I don't. Maybe when
Okay.
I get about 10,000 words, that's when I stop and do what I like to call a things that happen. So I'll just write out,
Hmm.
a few lines of things I know that needs to happen until I get to the expected end, like how I know I want the book to end. But
Got
other
it.
than that, I do not plot. I think what the biggest surprise was Jaden and his final decision on the direction he went in the story. Because I
Okay.
was thinking it would go a different way, but
Hmm.
it turned out pretty different. And I liked his end, so
Yeah.
or beginning,
Yeah.
however you want to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Eddie's clarifying. He likes to be read too. He reads reading it. Eddie, you know what? I'm stop sharing your comments, man. No, I'm messing with you. You're supposed to be reading. We're supposed to be reading. We're leading the charge here
Right.
for Natasha.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You being read too, Eddie, is kind of the purpose of what we're talking about here. Angela says, "Oh wow, thank you for sharing the behind the scenes." So let's stay with that for a second, because this is what's always fascinating to me when I talk to fiction authors, Natasha. So what was the
Mhm.
seed for you then for the story? What if you didn't plot it? What was the thing that kind of got you started with it?
Oh, the characters. So I always start with my characters, building the characters, and I know once I know who I want them to be and what the storyline is, then I
Hmm.
write from there. But I
Got it.
just sit down, type chapter one, and just go for it. But I
Okay.
knew these characters because they were in Batch of Love.
Got it.
So I already
Now,
kind of knew where we wanted their story to go in a sense.
got it. Now, according to Amazon, this is just the second, and it says 2 of 2. So, is this
Mhm.
officially the end of At Last, or is there going to be more?
Right
Or can you
now,
tell
I
me?
am planning on there being more. One more story,
Okay,
which
okay.
features the assistant to Ginger in book one in Batch of Love. So she will have her own story and we will close the loop because there's something that happened in Batch of Love that, I've gotten questions about, like, oh, I wonder what happened to this person. And so I think it'll
Interesting.
be a really good idea to close the gap. And so that's what I'm going to do in book three.
Okay, so y'all see what she did there, right? Now, I had first asked her if I needed to have read Batch of Love. She told me, no, no, no. You don't have to have read Batch of Love. Now she's telling me in book 3, she's going back
So,
to
yeah,
Batch of
so because I'm believing that you're going to go
Love.
back and read it
Yeah,
anyway, right? By the
there you
time
go.
book three
So
comes,
now
you
everybody,
would
we
have
have
read
to
it.
go back and read Batch of Love. You haven't read it
Yes,
like me, so that you know what's going to
yes,
happen with who the character is in book number 3 when it
yes,
comes out. So
yes.
that's really good marketing, Natasha. I like that. That's a really good ploy. Oh no, you don't have to have read it, but if you want to know who this character
Yeah.
is, how they were introduced, you have to go back and get it. So I'm going to highlight it in the carousel for our audience over there on Amazon. Batch of Love. You guys can one click the Kindle edition right now for $4.99. So make sure you guys get that. I will order the paperback because they're easier and faster for me to read when I'm on the go, which is every other week this year. So I'm going to order the paperback, Natasha, but really enjoyed Love Between the Pages. I think it's a great story. I've got a surprise for you. I did a video review for you that I'm just going to be dropping
Oh,
tomorrow on social media, and I also have my review ready to go for Goodreads as well. Like I said, since I can't do the Amazon reviews anymore. But if you guys have not gotten your copy of Love Between the Pages, you can get it here on Amazon, the print edition or the Kindle edition. The Kindle edition of this one also is $4.99. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Also, as I mentioned, if you're joining us on Amazon, you'll notice we added some of the other books that I've read by Natasha there too, including The Missing Link you'll see over there. The Reunion is over there as well with Every Moment. You can get that one as well. And then we also have one of my earliest books I read, Love, Lies, and Consequences. You can be able to get it over there too, and others as well. Natasha, really appreciate you stopping back by on the program. How can our audience stay connected with you?
my website, natashafrazier.com. It'll take you to my social media, which is my name on all the platforms, Natasha D. Frazier, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X, and Threads now as well. So it's my name, Natasha D. Frazier.
Awesome. Love it. Natasha, congratulations to you. So glad to have you on. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Cyrus.
Glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.